All right.
Yo.
Good evening, everybody.
What up?
Anything for a bit is back after a brief, just about a couple week hiatus here. Yeah, man, holidays, work stuff, illness on my end. Wasn't feeling great over the weekend. I
We
think I just
almost full time.
Yeah, we done pretty good. We done pretty good. But last couple weeks we've been off a little bit just because of some different stuff. I think for me, the weekend stuff, I just kind of I got physically ill from seeing the color yellow so much on Thursday night. All those flags and the officiating in that game just made me physically sick, and the
Yep.
weekend was a struggle. So
Yeah.
I apologize on behalf of the officiating for not allowing us to bring a recap show to you from Thursday night.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was a tough game. It's been a tough stretch, and I do kind of want to get into that a little bit before we actually talk Week 13 here. Obviously, we've got Cowboys Saints coming up in just a couple of days, but just because we haven't been able to really connect the last couple of weeks with everybody here, wanted to just start off with a little discussion, kind of the state of the team, if you will. See how we're doing, man. So the first question I've got for you, Ty, and I want you to take this one super seriously. Take it under a lot of advisement.
Yes.
A lot of consideration. If you look at the timeline of this last, 4-game stretch where the Cowboys are 1-3, we've lost 3 of 4, right? That lines up pretty well with where our inconsistencies as a show started. So do you think that we have had anything to do with this 4-game stretch for the Cowboys?
Unequivocally, yes.
So we got to get back on our game.
We just need to do the shows on a regular schedule, and they will win.
So I mean, I'm kind of feeling that way,
I think, I know you're being funny, but honestly, I'm just not concerned.
You're not concerned.
I'm not concerned. There are some frustrating elements, right? Because we're talking about losses to the Raiders, loss to the Chiefs, and was the Broncos the one before that? Yeah. Okay. So Broncos.
That AFC West, bro. At least we're done with them, right?
Yeah, and I mean, two things, or a few things. One, we kind of started thinking the AFC West was kind of a joke because nobody could get it together. But that's a meat grinder of a division. Now they have some inconsistencies with those teams, but any of those teams could beat you. So I wouldn't necessarily just throw it out and say they were just poor competition. Certainly, no one thought we were gonna lose to the Broncos. I think the Chiefs and Raiders were toss-ups. And at the beginning of the year, I think people had the juice to beat the Chargers, but I don't think anyone would have been super shocked if the Chargers beat us at that point.
Sure. It was a 3-point game too, right? 20-17. Exactly. So it's not like we beat them handily.
Exactly. So, and not just in the level of competition there, and just the confluence of events. We knew that there was going to be some point in the season, right, where hey, we've been overcoming basically everything, but at
Mm-hmm.
some point, right, things, they're not excuses. It's just what actually happened, right? And we've had a perfect little storm of COVID, injuries,
Man.
shortened schedules. It just, again, the frustrating part, the reason it was hard to stomach is that in the Chiefs game, we talked about in the Chiefs game, defense played well enough to win, right? You told us that you were going to hold Mahomes to 20, right? It was it 20?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were
19.
20 points
19.
that we're going to win, right? Like handily.
Sure.
Um, we've already talked about the laundry and the officiating in Thursday's game, and that was rough, So,
Gross.
and we'll just throw the Broncos game out, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah, that was
but
tough.
it's hard to stomach the other two losses because it was right there, right? Even though there were all these mitigating circumstances, we had a chance, a good
Sure.
chance in
Sure.
both of those, So
And
it
they were at
just
home too, right? Well,
yeah,
the Chiefs was
no,
on the
Chiefs
road,
on the road,
but
but
the
yeah.
Raiders were at home,
Raiders at home.
and the
It just
Broncos.
just hurt. It just hurt. So at this point in the season, I'm a little, you're a little disappointed because you want the wins, right? You want the wins to stack up. Thought we could chase the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's starting to, kind of round out there. Looks like Green Bay and Arizona are gonna duke it out, for the
Mm-hmm.
1 seed.
That's probably right.
Um might be a little blessing in disguise, right? You don't have to have that pressure on you because there's only one, bye. And not that they weren't before, but maybe the Cowboys just focus on, making sure we get to the playoffs healthy,
Mm-hmm.
not pushing it,
Yeah, there's no
so hard.
pressure to, push a lot of these guys back.
Exactly.
And
Pushing people back early from injury.
And I don't
Uh,
think that they've been doing that really. I think they've actually done a pretty good job, and the early
yeah.
winning has allowed them to not worry so much about the bringing guys like D-Law
Hmm.
back too early from that foot injury.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think that that's kind of where I was actually in the camp that I was okay when they were talking early in the week and late last week about potentially sitting Zeke this week, just because
Yeah.
man, that dude is banged up, right?
Yeah, man. It's
Um,
clear. It's clear he is.
yeah, it sounds like he's gonna play, but either way, I think I agree with that mentality that maybe there's something to be said with okay, maybe we're not chasing the 1 seed. Um, we're just gonna make sure that we lock up the division and we're gonna make sure we go into the playoffs as healthy as we can be.
Yeah.
At least have that one home game against a wild card team.
Hmm.
So let me then ask you this. You don't sound like you're super concerned overall with the team, going into the playoffs.
Hmm.
Has anything over this last 4 games made you question their worthiness as being considered a title contender? Because we've talked a lot about that, especially during those winning runs, that, this is a team that could be and was a legitimate title contender. Has any of that changed for you, or are we just going to chalk it up to, look, we prevailed through injuries for 7 weeks. Sorry, we didn't do it for weeks 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah. I mean, and this may be a type of statement because there's not many teams that can withstand it. But I mean, it's fragile, right? The difference between being a contender, right, and just another team is that health, right? And if we can make sure that Tyron's healthy, that Randy's healthy, that our defensive line gets a few people back, that
Mm-hmm.
um, then yeah, we absolutely have a chance, one of the best chances. But it's just there is some depth on the team, but it's apparent that just a few key injuries and the team reverts from a contender to a 500-ish level team. So
But what team doesn't, right?
exactly, that's why I
That's
said it may
that's
be a
that's my
does statement,
contention,
right?
I
There's
keep
nothing in their
hearing this.
play. There's nothing
It's
in their play that's like, oh my god,
Right. I mean, don't get
we're
me
going to be
wrong. The
bad.
the penalties are a concern, have been a concern, right?
Sure.
Even before last week, they were the most penalized team in the league. So
Yeah.
even though last week was, super egregious over the top,
Hmm.
it's not like that's been unfamiliar,
Yeah.
right? The defense has shown, holes at time, right? Missed tackles at times, susceptibility to the run game at times. Um, the offense has turned the ball over a little bit here and there, right? So I mean, I think there are some things there, but again, I don't think it's anything that you don't see with any team, right? Like name me one contender that's not flawed,
Yeah.
right? Even looking at a Green Bay or an Arizona, they have chunks in their armor too, right? Like I don't think any of these teams is just a straight up juggernaut
Nah.
shoe in, to make the conference championship or the Super Bowl.
No. Everyone's
So
got their weakness. So I mean, they are a contender. You just got to be healthy.
yeah, I think I agree with that. And I think I'm okay with that, right? Again, there's just been this narrative floating around, this last week or so, hearing on the radio, seeing it on Twitter of just like, well, they just can't get it done without their guys.
Right.
So it's like,
Well.
okay, well, who can?
Right.
Like, which team can, man?
Right.
The teams that make deep playoff runs and win the Super Bowl are the healthy teams, right? Those are
Exactly.
the ones that do it, that have their star players.
Yep.
Um, unless you're the Eagles a few years back,
Right.
and
Shout out.
that's probably
Shout out
because
Nick
your
Foles.
quarterback wasn't really a star player. So
Uh,
yeah,
Still
well,
catching strays in the AFC South.
hey, bro, when you're a bad quarterback, you're a bad quarterback. It don't matter what jersey you're wearing.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, I think I'm good on that discussion piece there. Moving on to week 13, so we can kind of get back into the flow of things here. Just wanted to kind of have that quick little recap discussion since we've been
Hmm.
away for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
Just some quick roster updates here. Couple things of note. Key players that are already out. You're gonna have no Randy, no Gallimore, no Jarwin this week. So Gregory, Gallimore, Jarwin, all still on the IR. Um, Gallimore actually has been designated to return as of this week, but I don't think we're going to see him. Probably going to be another week or two.
Yeah, he's working. He's
Um,
coming.
but the nice thing is, with those guys, if you listen to, Jerry Jones on The Fan this morning in his weekly radio interview, he's talking about guys like Randy and Gallimore, this 10-day gap that we have after this week, right? That's where we may start to see them. And in his words, he said he doesn't want to say that we'll see both of them next week, but likely we see one or the other. So he didn't say which one's closer between Randy or Gallimore. I've also seen reports that Randy kind of wished they wouldn't have put him on IR because he thought there was a chance that he could potentially come back and play this week. Of
Gotcha.
course, the 3 weeks, he has to wait at least until next week. So
Hmm.
there's a chance that we get Randy and Gallimore both back next week, if not the week after, most likely. Um, One note with Brent Urban, a guy who hasn't really done a whole lot for the Cowboys this year. Hasn't been a big impact player. Definitely a run stopper, though. Someone in the middle of that line that you would have liked to see play, out the season. Had season-ending tricep surgery today, so he's going to be out for the year. We will not see Brent Urban anymore going forward. Then we talked about COVID, right? So you've got Amari Cooper coming off of the COVID list, Terrence Steele going on the COVID list this week.
Yeah,
So
with
no
a
Terrence Steele.
slew of other people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A slew of other people, mainly coaches, right?
Yeah.
Terrence Steele
Still
really
the
the
only
only.
player.
Yeah, Nashawn Wright's on that list as well, but again, Nashawn Wright not necessarily a guy that you are super concerned about. He's not getting a whole lot of play time, so not really a major concern there. So with Steele out, obviously we're going to see Lyle Collins starting at right tackle, so that'll kind of be what we get going for this week. The other big COVID out this week is our head coach, Mike McCarthy. So Coach McCarthy will not be at the game on Thursday. He will not be coaching over there in New Orleans. Our guy Dan Quinn is going to note real quick. Our guy Dan Quinn is going to be the head coach for this week and next week if necessary for Mike McCarthy.
Good.
Next note, and I actually just got an update that I was looking at there. That's why I paused. Tristan Hill, who is supposedly supposed to be serving a 2-game suspension for a pretty gnarly little punch at the end of the game last game. Did you see that clip?
Saw some clips.
Yeah, kind of waited till after the game. Everybody's standing around talking, and he just wow, open-handed right into the dude's helmet. Gets a 2-game suspension. Seemed a little bit egregious. It's the only suspension all season from any player for hitting another player. Understandably, it wasn't quote unquote heat of the moment, right? Because it was after the game. Maybe the NFL is talking about premeditated face punching or something. Whatever they want to cook up.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm with it. Premeditated face punching.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this update just rolled in. He had his appeal hearing today for that suspension. So that 2-game suspension has been reduced to 1 game. So we will not have Tristan Hill this week against the Saints. But after this week, he will be done serving that suspension and he'll be back the next week. So
there you go.
2-game suspension turned into 1. Would have been great if Lyle Collins could have figured out how to get that done, huh?
Yeah, well.
Moving on. Looking at some of our other players that are still kind of up in the air, Cedric Wilson has not practiced all week. So we'll see if Ced's going to be in the game. We'll kind of see what he looks like tomorrow. He'll get one more shot to kind of, see if he can give it a go and be in that game Thursday. And then Amari Cooper is off of the COVID list, but listening to Mike McCarthy today, not feeling great.
It doesn't look good yet.
Yeah, maybe still having some residuals. Hasn't practiced all week. McCarthy said that if he doesn't go tomorrow in practice, then he would say that it's pretty hard to see Coop play in this week. So fingers crossed that we get Coop back this week, that he's in practice tomorrow and he can play Thursday. If not, at least we're going to get CD back this week.
That's good.
And then the big one, the big man, the leader of the defense, D-Law, is back, baby. And
have you really missed him?
I don't know that we realize how much we might have missed D-Law.
Yeah, because it feels like
you can
he hasn't really been gone. Doesn't feel like that. Like he's been out, but nobody's been like, oh my god, man. DeMarcus Lawrence, please. Now everyone's been agreeing.
Micah been doing his thing,
good,
right? Getting in the backfield. Micah been doing his thing. He been blowing plays up. Diggy been doing his thing in the middle. Osa been working in the middle. Dorrance has come on, pretty decently the last couple weeks. But DeMarcus Lawrence is the best run defender on your team. And if we want to put, not if we want, we're going to put Parsons in this conversation, right? He's one of your 3 best pass rushers. Whatever order you're going to put them in, DeMarcus Lawrence is your best run defender, and he's one of your 3 best pass rushers. We may not think that we've missed DeMarcus Lawrence, but we have missed DeMarcus Lawrence. Okay? I'm just not even going to entertain that, right?
Okay,
that dude is solid. Now, do I think that there could be some acclimation to playing after he hasn't played in 10 weeks or whatever it's been? Sure. Maybe he's in 25 snaps, right? Not 45 snaps.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit slow on the turn. Maybe he got to whip himself into playing shape. That's all fine. I promise we've missed DeMarcus Lawrence, and I promise this team is better with him on the field.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
As far as for the Saints, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson still on IR. He hurt his foot a few weeks back. This week would be his first week to be eligible from coming off IR, but I haven't seen anything indicating that he's going to be back this week. So that's a boost for the Cowboys in the secondary there to not have to deal with him at safety. Looking at a couple do not practices so far this week, so a couple guys to monitor. Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk, actually the 2 starting tackles for the Saints. Neither one of them have practiced yet this week. So we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. We'll see if they're ready to play Thursday or not. But as of right now, you could be down 2 starting tackles. Even if we're down 1 starting tackle, right, with D-Law and Parsons coming off the edge, I feel pretty good. And then talking about coming off the edge, Marcus Davenport, their marquee edge rusher, also has not practiced all week. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
look like he's likely to play.
Mm-hmm.
So we could be, in a good spot in the trenches there.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram are both likely to be back this week. Kamara's missed the last 3 games or so with, I think, an MCL sprain in his knee is what he's got. But he's back this week. Ingram missed last week. Looks like he'll be back, so they'll have their full backfield. And then Taysom Hill has been a full practice all week with his foot injury. So we'll see what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Man, there's just a laundry list of things with the Cowboys when it comes to roster stuff. I can't wait for this segment to get
Yeah,
swallowed.
it's that
I
middle
can't
of the
wait for it to
season
get swallowed, bro.
stretch. It wasn't that long. It was pretty consistent in the beginning of the season. It's that stretch. It's just, got to get through it, man.
Well, get us through some trench talk, fam, because I'm tired of talking about injured players.
Mhm. Yeah, man. You kind of honestly you've covered a lot of the trench play already because there's significant uh injuries or missing players on each side of the ball, right? With the Cowboys offensive line, Steele's out this week, who has been playing good this season, right? To everyone's uh, excitement, but he's out. So Collins is back in solidly. No line rotation this week. No, weird, you know, musical chairs on the line, right?
Right. Man,
We're
that
just getting it straight up. And
that's
even when
weird.
they did that, it didn't even last that long. But we just don't even have to talk about it, right? Like we don't even
Weird,
have to
bro.
worry about it.
Weird.
And I don't know if I'm just biased because most NFL um teams subscribe to it, but I mean it makes sense. I think you just want the continuity there, man. Just stop messing
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
Give 5 guys a chance to build chemistry. It's too much to, yank them around.
Yeah, for a team that talks a lot about continuity being
Yeah.
important, they did
That's like
some really
McCarthy's
weird
thing,
stuff.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's his whole thing. We
Yeah.
want continuity. We want 5 guys. Okay, man, like leave them in there.
Right.
But speaking of that, right? So McGovern's been playing the last 2 weeks, the left guard. Looks like he's gonna get the start this week. Is
Mm-hmm.
the interior of the line performing better? Are we doing better?
I think it's really hard to gauge because, we talked about it, right? With the injury stuff we've had to overcome. No Amari Cooper, no CD the last game and a half.
Because some of those
No Tyron
injuries
Smith
actually,
until last week, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Tyron being out obviously big, but I think Cooper being out just affects that offense so much, right? It affects every
mhm.
part of the offense. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think last week is the first week that Dak has thrown for what, like 350 plus yards without Amari Cooper,
hmm
like in his career.
hmm hmm
And Dak spent what, the first 2 seasons of his career without Amari Cooper.
yeah.
So,
So,
Amari Cooper makes a difference, man. He absolutely does. And then when your guy who should be his, heir apparent, if you will, right, your receiver 1B to his 1A gets a concussion halfway through the Chiefs game, and then you don't have him at all last week, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, look, Sed has done an admirable job, being the wide receiver 3. It's not a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2.
yeah.
Um, you know, Gallup, love Michael Gallup. He's not a wide receiver 1 because he doesn't do all the things a wide receiver 1 can do.
hmm
Right? Michael Gallup is good for what he is good for, and he is a great wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3.
hmm
Um, yeah, I just I don't. It's hard for me to answer that question. I don't want to get
Yeah.
too much down the rabbit hole. It's just it's hard
Yeah.
for me to accurately answer that. I
No,
feel like.
I feel kind of the same way. It's something that I'm gonna watch,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, I think as we get healthier, we can definitely have that conversation and have a different sample size for
yeah,
sure.
because I don't know. There's other factors that are affecting, how we're
Hmm.
getting the ball out and just the passing game in general to just say, oh, the interior is weak.
Yeah.
But one thing that we can say for sure is that we're not getting a push in the middle of that line
Hmm.
in regards to the run game, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we had a nice on that winning streak.
Yeah, their
We were
yards per
talking
carry
about
have
it
been
earlier.
going.
Yeah, Zeke and Pollard were in the the absolute stratosphere with their per carry, our per game averages. I think we were averaging 185 rushing yards a game, right, in that
Mm-hmm.
winning streak. And now, we're struggling to break 100.
Mm-hmm.
So, can we get that running game going, right? Like, it's we talked earlier in the season about like the running game is not absolutely the be all end all, right? Like like in the old Garrett philosophy of we're just going to run you to death and you can't stop us. We've been effective in the run game this year. It's been a very good compliment to the past as far as like, hey, when you try to take away, right?
And I think
With
you have to be able to have the threat to run, right?
right. Yeah, when we
That's the deal. It's not that you have to run it X amount of times or balance the offense a certain
exactly.
way, but like when I need to run it or I want to run it, or if I
Hmm.
can exploit your defense via the run, I need to be able to do that.
And
And we haven't been the last couple of
yeah,
weeks.
that's what I was gonna say. We're getting looks that we can run into, and it's not happening. Right,
That
we're just
Raiders
getting
run
beat.
defense is one of the worst in the league.
Yeah,
And we got what, 64 yards on 20 carries?
yeah, it
You
was like
know?
70 yards. Yeah, and I just that's definitely something to look at. I don't know that it's just one person or one person's fault on that run game. We just I think have to earlier in the season we were getting better push. We were exploiting the fronts that allowed us to run into them, and we're just not doing that. We're getting beat and allowing people to make plays out of run friendly formations on the defense, and we just got to execute better with that. Flipping to the defensive side of the ball, we did mention that D-Law is coming back, but
Mhm. Talk to me
we
about it.
still, we still have a lot of injuries on the defensive line.
Sure.
So Micah, we still need him to rush the passer, right?
Yeah.
We need that.
Now, are we
Um,
talking about from the edge or just rushing the passer in general? Because I think no matter how healthy or unhealthy the Cowboys are,
mhm,
Micah Parsons will always be in a position to rush the passer because he's too good at it, right? Whether it's, coming from the middle like he does when he's playing off ball
mhm.
linebacker, or, a stunt, whatever it may be, right? He's always going to be able to do that. But if we're talking about specifically off the edge, you still need two edge guys, right?
Yeah, that's why I say like
And
who is
Dorn,
rushing opposite DeMarcus this game?
right? Because ideally, Dorrance Armstrong is Demarcus Lawrence's backup,
Mhm.
right? Like your left end rotation should be more of like a Demarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, Chauncey Golston, right? Rookie third rounder.
Mhm.
And then your right end should be a Randy Gregory and Micah Parsons and right? Like
Mhm.
I don't, so I don't know. I don't see them going, especially again with us talking about D-Law maybe not getting a full slate of snaps, right?
Yeah.
I don't see 40 snaps of DeMarcus Lawrence and Dorrance Armstrong on the
I
edges,
still think
right?
Micah is the
I
primary
think
threat
Micah's
to
got to
to
get in
rush.
there.
Yeah.
I think he does. I agree. I think this game for sure. We'll see what it looks like when Randy Gregory's back. Um, but even then, man, I'm looking at, and I think we've talked about this before. One thing that we haven't seen is what is it going to look like when you've got Micah and D Law on the line together.
Mhm.
And one thing that I would personally like to see, because Quinn does a pretty good job mixing up the 3 down, 4 down lineman fronts, right?
Mhm.
Depending on what we're playing. If we're playing that 3-4, um, man, let me bump D Law inside, right? And be the defensive end still,
Yeah.
right? And let me put Micah on his hip at that outside linebacker.
Yep.
Are you kidding me, bro?
Yep. Yep.
And then if we want to flip the other side, then I don't know. Let's say we do Dorrance as that other end and Randy Gregory's my other outside linebacker.
Mhm. Mhm.
Come on, bro.
Mhm.
Like that could be a terror
Yeah.
when you
I
get
mean
those guys healthy and run front like
that's
that.
definitely what the end of the season, beginning of the playoffs holds for
Mhm.
us, Definitely looking forward to that. When you talk about this pass rush, they're chasing down some pretty average or below average quarterbacks. Okay.
Not a
I'm
lot of
not
great
even
quarterbacks left.
I'm not even convinced that Taysom Hill's a quarterback.
You get Taylor Heineke twice this year.
Yeah, so
And Daniel Jones once.
even though that defensive line's gonna be a little depleted, they're chasing down Taysom Hill, and Trevor Siemian.
And I think Hill is going to be your starter this week.
So Hill's gonna be the guy.
I think because he's coming back from his foot injury, he's kind of been in and
Mhm.
out, but it looks like he's going to play this week. And I think he's going to be your starter. And I mean, let's be honest, bro. If you've been watching the Saints offense with Trevor Siemian,
Oh man,
it's not good.
no.
They've lost 4 games in a row.
Mhm.
Right. You talk about the Cowboys losers of 3 out of 4. We've lost 2 games in a row. They've lost
Mhm.
4 out of 5, lost 4 in a row.
Mhm.
Trevor Siemian is just not that dude. He wasn't that dude in Denver, right? Um, he's not a great quarterback. He's probably not a good quarterback, right?
It's real bad.
And he's not an athlete either. So I am actually kind of concerned about Taysom Hill getting this start. When we look at the Cowboys historically, the last couple years, from a defensive standpoint, athletic quarterbacks have given us problems.
Yeah.
Man, you remember the backup for the Lions? Who was that a couple years ago? Freaking no name, come out of nowhere and run for like
Uh,
100 yards on us.
is that David
Uh,
Blau?
is that right? Yeah. I think that was right.
I may have said his last name wrong, but I think that's the
Yeah,
guy.
I think that's right though. I think that's who it was.
Mhm.
Um, is dude comes out of nowhere and just torches us running around, right? Um, Sam Darnold gets 2 rushing touchdowns against us this year. Uh, so that makes me
Yeah,
nervous,
but
right?
he also got baptized.
He did.
Um,
He
oh,
did. He almost got his
I
lights put out.
I do understand your concern. It's a concern I share. It seems that mobile or athletic quarterbacks give the Cowboys fits, and it's mainly because we can't ask Micah to do everything, right? He's gonna have to pass rush, so like
Mhm.
he can't be on the
Right, you
second
can't spy
level
the
and
quarterback.
spy or
Right,
chase around,
right.
right? Or just say, hey, who's the most athletic,
Mhm,
skill guy, this play, between the backs and the tight ends and
mhm.
whatnot, let me find him. I don't I do share your concern, but the Taysom Hill to me is going to be similar to the Falcons offense that started the game, right? With Cordero Patterson and Pitts. It's
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
are they good athletes? Yeah. And are there some things you're going to do to get them open? Yeah. But like, it's just going to be real hard, I feel like, to scheme up a whole game of him being effective. Can he slip a few in there? Can
Mhm.
we lose track of him and he, have a long touchdown run or something like that, or move him into field goal range consistently? It's possible. It is
Right,
possible.
like, if he goes for, like, 15 carries and 85 yards or something, because they will run Taysom Hill like that.
Yeah,
They
they
will.
will. And I think he's
Um
gonna be productive in the run game because he's a decent athlete, but like
Mhm.
you're just not no one wins in the NFL like that, right? So
Who
you're
would you rather
just
face between Hill and Simeon?
I say give me Simeon just because then I
Okay.
don't have to game plan for your
Right.
athleticism,
Okay.
right?
I get a
I
bad
mean,
quarterback either way, but at least this guy
correct.
can't run.
Right. This guy,
I agree.
neither guy
I
can
agree.
throw. That guy can run though. Now,
Mhm.
I mean, he's gonna have to run for like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns for them to win though. Like it would have to be ridiculous. He's not that the Saints offense is not threatening, So
It's not
it's
especially when
sad.
you look at the passing game.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
I say they don't even have like playmakers like, oh, let me just get the ball out quick to so and
but
so. And
an extension of the run game is the short pass game, and the Saints have one of the best dual threat backs in the entire league in Alvin Kamara.
kind of hurt.
What do we do? He is kind of hurt, so we'll see how healthy he is coming back and everything. from that MCL sprain. He's missed, I think, the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I know because he's on my fantasy team. Appreciate that, Alvin. Shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do we keep him from wrecking this game? Because that dude is, if he's healthy, that dude is a game wrecker. Running the ball, catching the ball, you know, you talk that's I think really where my concern is, right? Is what does Sean Payton dial up with a quarterback that can run all over the place and a running back that can hurt you in every way imaginable.
Yeah, I think of two things mainly. When I think about Kamara, right? He's elite, right? But he is coming off the injury, so hopefully he's just not himself, right? But that's just hoping. The first thing I think of is when we rush the passer, when we bring pressure. Is it going to be that disciplined approach? You kind of see that with your Kylers and Russell Wilson and some of the more dynamic backs, running backs and quarterbacks. When you're rushing up the field, kind of trying to stay wide, trying to contain, right? So that you can see in the backfield, don't get beat, rushing up the field so that they can throw quick screens behind you. Because you're right there that if they can just get the ball to Kamara, man, it's just going to be a
Mhm.
long day because again, we have a speedy defense, but just not. You don't want to be trying to chase Kamara down. It's just not a good recipe. I don't care who you are. The second thing is that when we dial up pressure, can we confuse their offensive line just enough to make sure that when we bring something that we get home? Because that's going to be the oh crap scenarios for me.
Sure.
They
Right.
picked up the pressure. Taysom Hill can see the lane,
Mhm.
and he is going to know, right? If nothing else, he is going to know where Alvin Kamara is on
Mhm.
every play,
Mhm.
right? And it's
Mhm.
probably going to be pretty close to the line of scrimmage,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So when we bring pressure, can we disguise it? Can we and can we help them misidentify so that we can get home? And in just our general pass rushing and pressure, can we stay disciplined and make sure that we're not giving up, that because I mean, it seems like every team, and I mean, you should, when a team is aggressively coming after you, it's just like every team has that screen on right now. They see that
Mhm.
pressure and they're like,
Mhm.
hey, they get into their
Yep.
checks,
Yep.
and that ball is going right behind
It's
the
out.
pass rush
It's
every
out.
time.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you keep them guessing, keep them off balance. Just
Mhm.
don't allow them to beat you like that, right? I think we'll stay in good shape otherwise, right?
Yeah, I
Because
mean that's my biggest concern, right? Is what do they
hmm
draw up with Taysom Hill, and then what does Kamara do, or what does he have the ability to do, right? We know that.
yeah, because
Um,
he can wreck it.
I
So
don't think that we're gonna have a bad day in the passing game. I think this is a redemption game for the secondary.
yeah, get
You
some
got
turnovers.
Sure, you got Marquez Callaway out there, as a decent wide receiver, but not really a wide receiver one. There's not really anybody on that Saints team that you're
No,
really worried about.
no,
So I think that this is, maybe this is a redemption game for Anthony Brown, right? Maybe he gets to put that Raiders L behind him with the
yeah,
with
for
the
sure,
quickness and make a couple plays. So
for sure.
flipping to the offense, talking about
hmm
getting back on track.
hmm
Is this the week that we see the offense kind of get back on track a little bit? The Saints have a good run defense, don't have a great pass defense. Um, and on both sides, they're susceptible to the big play,
Yeah,
right? They're one of the bottom ranked teams when it comes to giving up the big play, or I guess top ranked, whatever, however you want to say that.
sure.
They give up the big play more than just about anybody in the league.
hmm
Even on the ground, right? They give up more 10 plus yard running plays than pretty much anyone in the league, even
hmm
though they have a pretty good yard per game average. So I think in some spots you look at this defense and say, maybe they've got a decent defense. Um, but what do you think? Is that defense as good as it looks on paper, or is this the week that we get back on track?
They've been kind of sliding. When the season started, the Saints were not a team you wanted to play. That defense looked like it was ferocious, right? Jameis Winston had the offense humming with Sean Payton, and they look strong. Okay. Fast forward 5 weeks, and it's completely opposite direction, right? Offense is inept and injured at quarterback. The defense has regressed. Now, their pass defense was bad basically, the whole season. They've been in the bottom 20s, 20 to 32.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing propping it up was how stout their run defense was. And now they're kind of regressing, right? They're a little softer in the run.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's probably trying to help out that pass defense, right? Like they're probably just, playing some different schemes to try to help out that pass defense and getting softer in the run. But they're also, they're giving up about 23 points a game too, right? So they're not really stopping anybody, right? That's average. That nothing is scary. And when, like you mentioned, those advanced, stats tell you that they're susceptible to the big play. So does the offense get back on track this week? It's a prideful group still, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do still, even though they're a little banged up on defense, they still have solid players, especially on the second level. I would not bank on the running game getting back going, right? Can we be a little more effective so we can threaten them? Yeah. Um, I don't see it getting back, to those high efficient numbers from the first part of the season.
So you
But
buy in on that defense, the run defense at
the
least,
run
though.
defense. But what I do think can happen, right, is when you look at it on a per carry average, it's not going to look great, right? But we may have 20 carries for like 65 yards, but like a 50-yard touchdown
I
from
hope we
Pollard,
have
right?
more than that.
Right. Well, I'm saying like 110
Yeah.
total, right? But
Oh, okay.
50 of it,
Yeah, yeah.
may
Okay.
come
I'm
on
with you.
one play, right?
Sure.
Same in the passing game, right? Passing game's been a tad inefficient, or not. It's been inefficient because we're
Mm-hmm.
throwing a little more, right? Because the run game's not running, going well, and we're not
Well, we've
seeing
been
that.
playing from behind too, right?
Right,
You
right,
can't run as much when you're playing from behind like we have
right.
in the last couple
So,
games.
so I think you're looking at um, a more efficient day from Dak, but just more shots with Gallup, especially CD's playing too. I think they're just going to take their shots, right?
So let
Let's
me
just
let
see
me
what's
ask
up.
you on that front. So we're hopeful Coop can play. Um, but if he can't go,
Hmm.
should CD and Gallup be enough to help this passing game beat the Saints? Like is Cooper the difference between a win and a loss if I have CD and Michael Gallup? Or should those two be enough to win this game?
I think with their secondary injury, right, Chauncey Gardner Johnson being gone, that I mean
Mhm.
he's a legit safety, so that's a big loss for them. And I think especially with two, like electric playmakers, right? One needs the ball in his, or not needs, but gets the ball in his hands and runs downfield, and the other, takes the top off the defense. I'm not particularly concerned this week. I think this week, yes, they should be enough, but that is not to understate the importance of an Amari Cooper. We can clearly see that the defense plays an entirely different way when he's
Yeah,
on the field.
I just think that, if it's not enough, right,
Hmm.
then we can start talking about problems, right?
Hmm.
Because CD Lamb and Michael Gallup are a better 1-2 than probably most wide receiver
Yeah,
one
it's
twos
like
in
at
the league,
least half
right?
of the league.
So,
Yeah.
like, if my guy Dak can't get it done with those two, I do think that's a problem.
Hmm.
Right? I'm not saying, win every game, but the offense should not drop that much, I don't think.
Hmm.
And again, that's not to understate or undervalue what Amari Cooper means to this team. We know that, right? We've seen it. Um, but we've got to be, that's just the NFL, right? You're going to be
Yeah.
missing guys, right? I'm not
Yeah.
talking about playing Gallup as your one with Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown as your 2 and 3, right? CD is your one, Gallup is your two. That should be enough to beat this secondary and be
Hmm.
effective.
Hmm.
Um, One more question on the offensive front, and then we'll get into our game predictions here in just a moment. So we kind of talked a little bit about the run game already, right? Talked about Zeke being banged up. Talked about the efficiency kind of dipping a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been a proponent of this for a while, right? So this isn't a new opinion for me or for anybody that knows me. Um, but I just kind of want to pose the question: are we at the point where it's time to see more Pollard than Zeke, or at the very least to see more Pollard than we are seeing? Because right now, I think if you look at the season carries, it's about a 65-35 split. That's when you look at the percentage of touches between Zeke and Pollard.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just the last 2 weeks that they've been. It's just a
Hey, our
yeah.
guy Los say what's up. Good evening to you,
Hey,
Los. We will
what up?
be
What up?
with
What
you.
up?
We will be with you on the hard court shortly. Loaded up in the wreck, excited, ready to roll.
Yeah.
Sorry,
The
get back to your point.
no man. The last 2 weeks Pollard has been getting that split. I know over the
Mm-hmm.
season is not, but over the last 2 weeks Pollard been getting
Mm-hmm.
that split. My thought is that the way that defenses are coming up to play the run, right, to try to stop it, there may be a tad more versatility in having Pollard in the game as far as like the play calling. When you get people that are, too far in the box or, kind of loading up to stop that run, there are some different looks I believe Pollard can give you to go on the quick passing attack where,
Mm-hmm.
Zeke can catch the ball out of the backfield, but Pollard is a dynamic, talent, right? Like we've talked about how, his speed, his quickness, the elusiveness, those can turn into some really, really productive plays. And I mean, look, Zeke has been good on those screens too. I think that just from like a just in your, if you have Pollard back there standard, or just, like you said, a little maybe 60-40, just give you a little more flexibility and let you attack the defense a bit better. I do like
Mm-hmm.
Zeke's pass protection better, and I bet that's why he
Sure.
plays so much more.
Sure.
Um, but I think with how the run game has been performing, that if you are able to create some mismatches with Pollard on linebackers or on safeties that are attempting to come up and play the run, but then have to
Mm-hmm.
cover him in short pass coverage, I would like to see how that works out
For sure,
offensively.
for sure. And I think this comment from Los right here kind of puts it about as good as you can, right? When you're looking at Tony Pollard, it's lightning in a bottle. That dude could break
Hmm.
one at any time. I mean, we saw it last week on the kickoff
Yeah.
return, right? He
Yep.
put us back into the game by himself with that kickoff return.
Yep.
Um, and Zeke is kind of a bruiser. Now, I think healthy Zeke this year has been more than a bruiser. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know that it's fair to just categorize him as such there. Because Zeke has been good, right? I'm not saying that he hasn't, but if I'm looking at the last 2 or 3 weeks and, it's not exactly a fair assessment because Zeke hasn't been healthy, but that's the NFL. If I'm looking at the last 2 or 3 weeks, Tony Pollard's been the better running back. He's been the better player. He has been. He's been more explosive. He's been more reliable. He's been better catching the ball. He's been better running the ball. He's been better between the tackles. He can get outside of the tackles.
Yeah.
He's been better.
He's just more effective right now,
And
you know?
again, health plays into that. But I mean, that's the NFL, man. If you're not healthy and the dude behind you is healthy and what he's doing is better than you, then he's the better player.
Yeah, I feel that, and I want him to. I want him. Oh yeah, let's see what
Let's see
Los
what
is
Los.
saying.
Yeah.
Pollard can't take a full game care. However, he can make those strike plays. Tyreek Vision scheme wise, Pollard has better plays. I
I'll let you go first.
well,
Los, we coming for you.
I don't know. I
I
don't know
am.
if that's true because we haven't given
We
him the
don't.
load,
Okay, thank you.
right?
That's really
I
all I have to
don't
say.
know
We
if that's
don't know if
true
that's true.
because they haven't given him the load.
Never seen it.
Now, I do. I like the idea more of mixing them, rather than
Mhm.
just giving
Sure.
Pollard all the
I
responsibility,
absolutely.
even if Zeke's healthy, you
Absolutely.
know?
And Pollard's not
Um,
gonna go 7 yards a carry like he was at the beginning of the season if you're getting him 15, 20 yards a carry.
mhm.
Yeah, Low saying exactly what you just said, right? We need both of them to
Yeah.
be successful. NFL is definitely a two-back league. I
So
think
yeah,
that's right.
I
Um,
I think that's right. I just would like to see them, like I said, as far as offensively go, just get Pollard in there
mhm,
a little more consistently to take
mhm,
advantage
mhm.
of. Just make the defense honest, because I feel like if you run Pollard into a box that has space, he's electric. And
I
if
just
you
wanna
give
know what
him,
happens if I give him 20 touches in a
mhm,
game.
and if I give
What
him,
happens, bro?
if I give
Doesn't
him
have to be
mismatches,
carries,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
If he gets, 14, 15
12, 8,
carries,
14,
right,
6, I
and
care
gets 4, 5, 6
exactly.
catches, right? I just wanna see what happens if Tony Pollard gets
Mhm.
20, 25 touches. Because this idea that he can't do it, we haven't seen it, right?
Mhm.
People will say the same thing, "Oh, he can't run between the tackles." Tony Pollard can run between the tackles.
Yeah.
He's done it all year long. Right?
Mhm.
It's not just bouncing outside. Now, I will say when you look at some analytics, Tony Pollard is one of the worst running backs in the league when it comes to hitting the designed hole on a run play. So, like if the run's supposed to go to the A gap, he doesn't necessarily do that, but he makes it work. Right? He's successful.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if he's doing that or not. Honestly. Um, yeah, Lowe said maybe not 20 plus carries, but touches. Right. And that's kind of where
Feel
I'm
that.
at, right? Especially if Zeke isn't healthy, like what's the harm in flipping that and going, 20, 20 touches for Pollard and 12 to 15 for Zeke while he gets healthy. Oh, and then we got Coop in here. Man, y'all coming on late. We
Yeah.
we, we an hour into this thing and now y'all want to talk to us, trying to make this thing go long, but
Zeke is
I'm here
way
for it.
superior in pass protection. Dallas should have dropped
Yeah,
Chubb, Hunt.
right.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I'm not trying to get Zeke to go away.
No, and Zeke is one of the best pass protection backs in the league.
Period. But
Um,
I love it when he crushes people on
now,
the pass rushes. So
now, if
it's
we
good.
talking money though, I'm not paying $15 million for one of the best pass rushing backs or pass protection backs in the league. So, uh,
Yeah, we can
like
leave
Zeke is
salary
a
cap
good
out of the conversation for
Zeke is
now
a good pass protection back and one of the best in the league. And
because it
yeah,
just
oh, go
I
ahead.
feel like because yeah, the salary. I feel like a lot of players, and I mean, I'm sure rightfully so or not. Um, the everyone says, "Oh, Zeke's good," but for the money, da 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 da, right? And it's
Hmm.
like, look, man, the guy
He's
got paid
here,
what he got
right?
paid,
He's
right?
here. He's here.
You know.
He's here. I just hate paying running back, so I have to point that out whenever I can.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like this point from Los, getting more creative from a three wide receiver standpoint, utilizing the tight end, getting those mismatches. I think Kellen Moore does a pretty good job at that, honestly. I think the last few games you've seen a limited personnel.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what are you gonna do with your three wide receivers with, you know, Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson and Noah
No
Brown,
Brown. Yeah.
right? What does that set look like? And
Mhm.
Los, now he's coming for the scheme god, and I don't
Mm.
appreciate anybody
Auditioning for his next
coming
job?
for
I don't think
Kellen
so.
Moore, the scheme god. Watch your tongue, sir. Kellen Moore
Mm.
is gonna take us to the promised land.
Man,
Uh,
what you think? Start talking about the promised land. What you promising gonna happen in this game? What's your score
yeah.
prediction? And how do we get there?
Yeah, so let's talk about that Cowboys win, lose if. Los, of course he's auditioning, bro. Everybody's auditioning. Every single day of your life is an audition for
Oh,
something,
here
okay?
you go.
So I'm not gonna entertain that discussion. You leave my offensive coordinator alone. And if
Mm,
he is gonna be a head coach somewhere else, then we should probably just fire Mike McCarthy.
mm,
Because I don't want Kellen Moore to leave.
mm,
Or you know what? There's no salary cap on coaches, so just pay him a ton of money, and he can stay our offensive coordinator.
mhm,
Do the Josh McDaniels thing with the Patriots, like, hey, when Bill Belichick gets old and football dies, then you can have the team. Uh,
mhm.
Low say he need a headset ASAP.
Oh
Hey, on the
Lord.
next, I'll send you
The
the link to
next
the show on
segment.
the next
Let's
one, bro. I
go.
will. I'll send you the link to the next
Tap
show.
in,
You can
baby.
tap in. That's all right. Bring that mic on, baby. It's got
Yeah.
to be good quality, though. Coop said, I hope
Mhm.
he's auditioning. Yeah, right. He
Yeah.
should be, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's auditioning. I'm auditioning right now. Any of you big major radio stations out there, 4-letter radio stations, anybody want to sign me on? I'm really good at what I
Yeah.
do. I'm dedicated. I love sports. I love my Cowboys. I'm
Yeah.
auditioning right now, bro. Come on. Of
Right
course he
now.
is. But back on track. On my win, lose, if. Um, I think the Cowboys win. We kind of talked about it, right? If the offense returns to form.
Mhm.
And I think another big thing is we got to really look to win the turnover battle, right? The quarterbacks that we have coming up this week included are less than inspiring, right? We've got to be winning we've got to get back to winning the turnover battle like we were when we started the season 6-1 before the bye. Lo said this why I need a mic. Yeah, bro. I'll get you a mic. But I get the right to cut you off too. Coop said podcast Pena. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I'll get you a mic, but I have control of the mute button, so
Mm.
you know, just remember that. Um, yeah, we win if we return to form. We win if we win the turnover battle. I think
Mhm.
we lose the game if Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara can't be stopped. We already kind of talked about that, in the notes there. I have a legitimate fear of Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. If you want to throw Mark Ingram there as a change of pace because he does good work out there, um, I'm nervous about that, man. Um, Now, as far as for my official prediction, I do think the Cowboys are going to win. As hard as it is to think that the Saints are going to lose 5 in a row, I find it more inconceivable that we are going to lose 3 in a row and 4 out of 5. Especially as we're getting healthier, we're getting at least one of our receivers back. So I do think the Cowboys get on track a little bit this week. I do think, to your point, that um, you're going to have some struggles with the run game. But I think the passing game is going to be plenty effective. So I've got the Cowboys 27, the Saints 20. So I got the boys.
Mm.
I got the boys by a touchdown. What
Mhm.
uh what does your win lose look like?
I got them 27-12, so we got the same amount of points, but I think
Los is giving us his keys to the win.
oh yeah,
TOP, is that turnovers?
time of possession.
Oh, time of possession. My bad. My brain's not working.
Yeah.
Time of possession, defensive big plays. Offense has to score 21 plus points. I mean, I think that's pretty in line with kind of what I was
Yeah, I
talking
like
about there. I
that.
think that's
I
about
like
right.
that. I do believe that we're gonna get a win. Um, I'll take that second point from Mr. Carlos Ashley that those
Yes.
defensive big plays, right? That's not just turnovers. That's getting off the field, sacks that wreck a drive, taking people out of field goal range. Because I do feel like Sean Payton is going to scheme up a few things to keep that ball rolling. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just not going to be consistent because they don't have enough offense, right? So if we can make a few just key stops, right, key plays in the game, probably 5 or 6, that's what's going to help us win the game. I think
Most say the D line got to help Parsons out.
yeah, it just can't be, oh
They
my
got to
god,
help.
please help
They got to
Micah,
help.
just Micah Parsons, please go get a
Yeah,
sack, right?
please. You can't get 3 sacks and 10
And
pressures
I
every
mean,
game, y'all.
yeah, and that line does have to, make a collective effort as a pass rush. But I think this is definitely a get right game for both sides of the ball. Um, but yeah, we can lose the game most of the time. Most of the time, right? You're looking at turnovers, and I look at some of those weeks where Dak is getting harassed, strip sacks, tip passes for interceptions and things like that. Or if we just can't move the ball,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's the silent turnovers too, right? You're right on the edge of field goal and you throw a ball in the dirt, or you call a bad play and you don't pick up that first down, where you're punting.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
gotta avoid that too. So finish those drives, Make sure, yeah, Sweeta, football.
Hey, I'm really happy Sweet is here. I'm gonna cut you off really quickly because I have a PSA for everybody. Sweeta specifically requested that I not wear this tie-dye shirt under my blue Cowboys jacket for the show because I look tacky. So this one, right, this is for you, baby. This tie-dye shirt's for you.
Wow.
Sorry,
That's
back
what
to
you
you,
stopped
Kurt.
me for.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad. I didn't know she was gonna
No.
jump in.
I don't have any more relevant points. Clearly.
Well, then I suppose we could close it out with Coop here saying 3 words: stop the run.
The run.
But then he said in Dallas win, so that's actually 6 words, right? But, yeah. I get what he's saying though. The first 3 was the 3 words. Lo said to Les Sweetado that I have a face for radio. I appreciate that. Chiseled, nice jawline, good structure. Right. I'm working on the beard. It's still kind of patchy, you know. I call this the I'm trying. You know, it's a new style I'm working on because I'm trying to grow a beard. So cool. I'm getting kind of loopy now because we've been doing this for an hour. So
yeah, man, I'm up out of here.
I think I'm done. All right, peeps. Appreciate the heavy involvement there at the end. That was a lot of fun. We are gonna jump off of this thing. Yeah, Coop's had 2 sets of 3 words, right? Yeah. 6 words, 3 words, 2 sets of 3 words. All right, y'all. Appreciate it, peeps. We're
Shout
gonna
out,
holler at
Coop.
y'all later. AFAB out. Appreciate the involvement. Holler at y'all later.
All right.